After working for over 17 years in HR and recruiting, I can tell you there's a side of the hiring process that most job seekers never see. That is until today, because I'm going to pull back the curtain and share with you 10 brutal truths about the hiring process. Now, this is not to scare you, but rather to give you the insights that give you a leg up over the majority of other candidates. Hi, I'm Laura, and I'm here to take your job search from stressful to successful. Now, brutal truth number one is that it is not all about your skills. I have done thousands upon thousands of interviews over the course of my career. And I can tell you this, if there are two candidates and one has an 80% skill match, but we can tell that they are really going to be a great fit on the team, and then there's the other candidate who has a 95% skill match, but just doesn't seem as though they would integrate into the fabric of the team, the culture, the company. You bet I'm gonna go with the candidate who has the lower skill match. Now, unless you are in a very, very specialized field, there are a lot of skills that can be taught on the job. And in fact, some companies actually prefer this because they can teach it the way that they want it to be done. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't make sure that you have the necessary skills to do the core of the job, but don't be thrown if you look at a job description and think to yourself, oh, I'm not at 100% match. Go for it. Trust me, it's not all about your skills. And talking about skills, let's talk about brutal truth number two, which is that most resumes suck. Yeah, I said it. And I hate when I see this because I know that the majority of people, including probably you, were just never taught how to create a resume that shows off your specific, unique impact, your experiences, your skills. And what most people submit is a very generic, high-level, bullet-pointed job description. And to be quite honest, if your resume reads like a job description, then it is not a resume that accurately reflects you. Just pull up a job description and see what those bullet points are. They're always going to be pretty high level, right? They need to answer the phone. They need to manage schedules. They need to coordinate travel, if we're talking about like an administrative assistant position. But if you put that on your resume, then you're just going to blend in with everybody else. Instead, focus on specifically what your unique impact is. And I did a video about this, about using the Google XYZ formula to enhance your bullet points, which I will link up here. But when you start looking at your resume as a marketing document of yourself and showing off why you are the best fit for the position, not that you can just simply do the tasks, that shift is going to work wonders to have you be seen amongst the sea of resumes that recruiters get every single day. Which, nice lead into my third point, and that is recruiters and hiring managers are not the same thing. And I think there is a lot of misinformation about that because I see those two terms used interchangeably. And why it's important for you to know is because you know who to reach out to. You know who is ultimately going to make the decision, the hiring decision, when you know the responsibilities of both. So a recruiting manager a recruiter is essentially the gatekeeper of the position. Most of the time, the resumes are going to flow through the recruiter. They're going to be the first set of human eyes on that. Then from there, they are going to make the decision on which resumes to pass along to the hiring manager. Now, the hiring manager really is the person who is ultimately going to have the say in whether or not that candidate will be hired. The hiring manager, a lot of the time, is the specific manager of that position. Sometimes it's the head of the department, but ultimately it's somebody who's going to be able to give a definitive yes or no on that hire. And this is why it's so important for you, because a lot of the time I hear the advice of find the name of the recruiter and send them an email when you apply. And in theory, that's great advice, right? Because you're still beating out the majority of candidates because they're just applying blindly and their resumes landing in an ATS or applicant tracking system, and there's no further contact made. And so yes, the thinking of at least you're reaching out to the recruiter is solid. But if you want to level it up even more, find the contact information of the hiring manager. I have heard stories of people who do not get passed through by the recruiter, but because they've already made it in front of the hiring manager, even if it's through an email, then they are brought in for an interview. And that is where you have that upper hand because you're bypassing the ATS, you're bypassing the gatekeeper. And brutal truth number 4 is that yes, referrals and recommendations get preferential treatment. Now, whenever I had somebody come to me and say, I know this great candidate that would be perfect for this position, my ears perked up. As a recruiter, you're generally going to get 100 plus resumes for a position. And if I have somebody, especially if they're trustworthy and they're themselves a good employee, come to me and say, hey, I know somebody who would be great for this, that just automatically made my job a heck of a lot easier. Rather than me just sift through pages and pages, I have somebody vouching for somebody. So at the bare minimum, I'm going to give them a call. And when you have that call, that is going to allow you to show up as yourself rather than just a piece of paper. And this is why I hammer home all the time. Make sure you're doing outreach. Make sure you're networking, you're connecting, making yourself a person rather than a piece of paper is key. Let everybody know that you are looking for a job because you never know where that can land. And brutal truth number 5 is that you need to go the extra millimeter. Now notice, I did not even say you have to go the extra mile. And this is because the majority of job seekers are doing the bare minimum. They are going to Indeed, they are looking through the job descriptions, they are hitting apply, and then they're just sitting back, letting whatever happens happen. But not you. Even going that extra step, and that is going to a job site besides Indeed, like a niche job board. And I did a whole video about that, which you can check out up here. That's going to put you in a smaller pool of candidates. Or let's say you find a job in Indeed. Instead, go to the company's website, apply through there, and while you're there, find the contact information for the hiring manager, send them an email introducing yourself, letting them know that you have applied. That's going to have you stand out. Just those small things make a big difference. Brutal truth number 6 is that yes, there are dumb questions. When you go into an interview, you need to have done some research. You need to understand what the company does, what their mission is. You need to have an understanding of what the role is. And this might seem absolutely absurd, but yes, I've interviewed candidates who have asked me, so what does this company do exactly?
What?
Or this role, what exactly would you be doing in this role? And I'm like, did you do no research at all? When you ask those questions, it tells a lot. It tells that you didn't even care enough to do a quick Google search, and it paints you in a bad light. Brutal truth number 7 is that not all hiring processes are the same. I have worked for a Fortune 500 company, I've worked for a nonprofit company, I've worked for a small family-owned business, and the hiring that each of those companies does looks different. And why does this matter to you? Because you are going to approach it a bit different. If you are applying to a 5-person company that is looking for their 6th employee, you betcha that they're going to be really invested in making sure that that person is not just a number, but a genuine fit. This is where you can add that cover letter, and it's most likely going to be read. This is where you have the ability to have it be easier to connect with a human before you just submit your resume. But if you're applying to a Fortune 500 company, that will probably look different. Most likely they're going to have a dedicated recruiting team, probably not going to go through all the cover letters. They might require that all applicants go through their ATS. You might not have the ability to as easily have that first contact be human rather than a piece of paper. Not to say it can't be done, but your strategy is going to have to shift a little bit. And brutal truth number 8 is that people talk. If you go in for an interview, you need to understand that your interview does not start when you enter that conference room. Your interview starts the moment that you pull up and get out of your car or the bus or the train or whatever your mode of transportation. Every single person you encounter from that point forward is part of the interview process, even if it's not official. I worked at a company where the receptionist would give me a call after an interview if there was anything that she noticed. And yes, this had an impact on the decisions that I made when it came to hiring. Because if you're going to show up and be rude to the receptionist, but then turn around and be nice to me, that is not somebody that I want to hire. Now think about all the interactions you have when you are in an interview, right? You walk in the door, perhaps somebody holds the door open for you. You get on the elevator, you are in the elevator with people. You interact with the receptionist, the security guard. Use all of those touch points to show off your amazing, kind self because yes, we are talking. Brutal truth number 9 is that your interview is not the time to be humble. I see this time and again. I'll ask a candidate to tell me about a specific situation, and for some reason, they feel obligated to give credit to other people. Like, well, I didn't head it up entirely. There was a team behind me, but here was my part that I played in it. And I was like, no, just tell me how you owned your specific part. There is no need to keep giving credit to other people. I'm in that interview to learn why you are the best fit for the position, not the team that you worked with. So don't downplay your experience and your skills and ability by using words like, well, I only did this aspect of it, or I just helped out here. No, don't be humble. Own your story. Show up as that person with confidence that I'm like, yes, I'm in good hands if I hire this person. Which brings me to brutal truth number 10, and some advice that I hear a lot, which I'm just like, not quite. And that is, you should not be selling yourself in an interview, but selling yourself as the solution to the problem that they are looking to solve. And I say this because when you sell yourself, you tend to talk, well, a lot about yourself. And when you talk about yourself, sometimes it just ends there. I did this, I accomplished that, I. But when you sell yourself as the solution, you're making the pivot to why you can solve their problems as well. So taking it a step further, I did this, resulting in this, which aligns with your specific situation. It's a very slight difference, but it's a very big difference that will actually have you stand out for the right reasons. And speaking of standing out, if you're looking for a video on how to stand out in your interview, then make sure to check out my video here.